And it's a good morning to the Gelding on a very wet day in Melbourne. And Gelding, that's why we're going to go to Randwick, where the group racing's on today.
Oh, Professor, good morning to yourself. Good morning to the listeners. Lovely to see you in the crazy Melbourne jumper, Professor, after a very impressive performance last night. And we turn our attention to Randwick, where there's Group 1 racing returning, and also a better track and better conditions, Professor, than what's going to be served up, I think, at the Valley today, which has got a heavy 8 and rain predicted, whereas Randwick, we're on a soft 5 and what looks like to be a nice Sydney day, Professor, as you would well know.
Yes, Gelding.
The nice Sydney days.
Yeah, it was very nice in Sydney last week. Only I didn't get to the races. So
other commitments, Professor.
Other commitments, but the weather was perfect up there. And given the last time you and I tried Moonee Valley when the track was heavy 8 or worse, Gelding, I thought, what better way to go across the border in New South Wales, see some group racing and some good horses with a soft 5 at the moment with fine weather predicted. So I would expect the racing will be a lot better. And we might be able to repeat what we did last week, Gelding. So for the viewers out there, you might like to tell them how well we went.
Well, Professor, of course, there was plenty of winners, three winners and a second.
By a nose, Gelding. The second was
by a nose. So it could have been the 4 winners. So some nice prices there too, Professor. So just on the straight out punt, you could almost double your money. Then on top of that, just missed out on the win parlay, but the place parlay got up at some juicy odds. So, that could have turned your $5 into almost 100, Professor. So that would have done the world of good to someone like Cooter, I think, might have just had a sneaky little bet on it. And then on top of that, Professor, the Professor parlay salutes again. So, a bit of a fill up for the listeners. And as we gladly say here, brown bags gladly accepted.
Yes, I think anybody who was following us last week, Gelding, would be very happy.
Yes, I think they've been able to pay their electricity bills, Professor.
All right, Gelding, well, without further ado, what are your 2 best bets for today's Randwick races?
Going to Randwick, Professor, I've got to admit I'm staying with the big names up in Sydney today. So my first bet's not till race 6, Professor, at 2.25. Where I'll be going race 6, number 3, a Lord Ardemir in the Premier's Cup over 2,000. This horse trained by Chris Waller to be ridden by Hugh Bowman. So I think we've got, good trainer, leading trainer, very, very good jockey. This horse is going for a hat-trick, Professor. Since it's come back from a spell, it's had a second and 2 wins. I just think this horse is in very, very good form. Chris Waller seems to have it flying. It's a 5-year-old gelding by Reliable Man, a very good horse in itself who produces some good middle distance horses, Professor. So let's stick with an informed trainer who's got an informed horse going for 3 wins in a row. So that's race 6, number 3, Lord Armour. I'll then move on to the Group 1 Wink Stakes, Professor, over 1,400. An excellent field of horses here, but I'll be going with an old favourite of ours. Excuse me. Race 8, number 3, Animo. Trained by James Cummings, to be ridden by James McDonald. This horse very unlucky last year in the Cox Plate, Professor. A few people think it should have won on protest when State of the Rest came out on it, but not to be. I like Animo. It's got bigger targets this year. This is its first start back over 1,400. Worried about a lot of horses in this field, being Mwanga, number 1, number 7, Julas, and of course the Chris Waller trained Fangirl, number 10. But listening to James Cumming during the week, he says he has the horse fit enough for a first up win. This horse has had 16 starts for 7 wins, 5 seconds and 2/3, Professor, there. So that's 14 out of the 16 starts. It's one of the best horses going around in Australia. It won a barrier jump out the other day, Professor. So, look, I'm thinking class may prevail here and going race 8, number 3, Animo. And your tips, Professor?
Yes, Gelding, I'm going to bookend the meeting. I'll be picking in race 1 and race 10. So there's a little bit of time between interests for me, but in race 1, the highway handicap over 1,100 metres for 3-year-olds, I like number 5, Bandy's Boy, coming out of barrier 10. It's had lightly raced, Gelding, 2 starts for 1 win. So 50% win and place rate. So I like the high win and place rate. What I did see, Gelding, in the race that it didn't run a place in, it ran 5th in a Group 3. So obviously the connections of the horse believe that this horse is going to bigger and better things and won't be continuing to run in race 1 at Randwick meetings, and will probably be running in group races later in meetings in the future, Gelding. So I've looked at that. It's 1 over the distance. It's 1 at the track, so it ticks a lot of boxes. It's got William Pike, who's...
I was going to say, Professor, is he your favourite pin-up boy as a jockey?
Well, he's one of them, Gelding. He's one of them. But
when I saw the tip and saw the jockey, I've just gone, yes.
Well, Gelding, he hasn't gone to Sydney for a haircut, has he?
No, he certainly hasn't, Professor.
So, look...
And he's performing very, very well.
Well, career win rate of 19%, Gelding.
Yep. Not bad, is it?
I'm happy with that. And Danny Williams, a trainer we don't often talk about, he's got a career win rate of 15%, so no slants there. So I'm very confident. And at $3.40 and $1.60, Gelding, very good each way odds for punters.
Oh, beautiful, Professor.
And then let's finish the meeting off with race 10, the Darwin Turf Club Handicap. Benchmark 78 race over 1,200 metres. I like in this race, Gelding, horse 3, Pizarro, coming out of barrier 7. Had 7 starts for 2 wins and 5 placings, so a 29% win rate, 100% place rate. It's placed in its last 4 races, including a win at Rose Hill in the same conditions on the 30th of July, Gelding. One of our other favourite jockeys in the saddle, Huey Bowman, he's in career form at the moment. His career form 16%, but over the last 50, 18%. And Johnny O'Shea's also in good form, Gelding. And what a CV Johnny O'Shea's got. Trained with Tommy Smith, Bart Cummings and Gai Waterhouse. So if you're learning the trade off those people, you couldn't be doing much better, could you?
Yes, and remember he was training for Godolphin, and then Professor, he wanted to take a step back and just build a nice boutique stable, and is building that up nicely. So let's glad to be aboard and following him. Yes,
Gelding, and another good horse for each way punters, currently showing $4.80 and $1.90 on the tape, Gelding. So I would say punters, get on early, because I don't think it'll start at $4.80.
That's a nice little end to our parlay, Professor.
Might be a very nice end of the day, Gelding. We might be very happy. I think you and I were very happy last week.
Oh, I think we were very, very happy, Professor. As you can see from the Texas going up.
Exactly, Gelding. All right, now
and enabled you, I think, to splash out with a nice Chinese meal up in Sydney.
Yes.
A couple of spies have told me the nice Chinese was undertaken.
Yeah, it was very nice, Gelding.
Oh,
very nice indeed. All right, the very successful Professor's Parlay.
Very, very, very successful.
Paid 9-2 last week, Gelding. That's not to be sneezed at.
A nice little, you know what? It was just a nice little, after a great days of racing and then the tips coming through, just to watch the Professor Parlay sneak up and just tip us over. Yeah, it was very, very nice, Professor.
Dare I say icing on the cake, Gelding?
Oh, definitely. A nice thick ice cream. Icing, Professor.
Yeah, it was too.
Maybe a dollop of ice cream on the side.
Yeah, there was even enough for a dollop of ice cream on the side, Gelding.
Beautiful.
All right. Well, let's try and do the right thing by the punters today. The agreed bet of the day, Gelding, race 8, horse 3, Animo. We've gone for the best horse racing probably in Australia today. So if you can't put your money on that, then give up.
Well, I'm tossing up between that and Zaki as being the two best horses, Professor, at the moment in Australia. So I'm happy to be on board for it.
All right, and let's parlay that into the AFL, given it's the last round, Gelding. Plenty to play for. Let's go for the showdown. We'll go for tonight's games. The showdown, Port Adelaide to beat Adelaide. Port Adelaide absolutely annihilating Essendon last week. And I think, look, where they are on their ladder, Gelding 11th, doesn't really reflect how good that team is. And if you consider that, they started 0-5, Gelding.
Yep, that was, once you get behind like that, Professor, it's almost impossible to come back, isn't it?
Exactly, Gelding. But if you have a look how they've gone since the first 5 games, they've played pretty well. You know, they've let themselves down at times, but I think they're still too good a side for Adelaide, especially at home. And Robbie Gray going out in his last game, so they'll be trying to lift for him.
And Robbie Gray not afraid to have a quick say of having a bit of a crack at the Adelaide boys. So it might be nice and willing out there on that footy field today.
Might get a bit spicy, Gelding.
Yeah, I like spicy. I had willing in my mind, but I like spicy probably better.
All right, let's parlay that, Gelding. And a bit of surprise for you. I've gone for your Tigers tonight at the MCG at home against Essendon, Gelding. Essendon, let me just say, if I look at the last week and a half, rabble.
Yeah.
Absolute rabble. Clarkson was never, ever going to Essendon. You can't, they've still got a coach on the books, still contracted, and then you approach another guy to come and like, why would you ever consider? And as Clarkson said, you can't do due diligence in 2 days.
Well, it just shows there was a split board there all the time, Professor.
Yeah.
And the rumours are Kevin Sheedy swapped sides. Then then kind of toot and froed. So, as you said, maybe the boardroom, is it a case of the boardroom really showing signs of mucking up a club?
Well,
if you don't get that board right, to let them play their footy and things like that. And when players' comments are made about the week that they've had, there's obviously a lot of disharmony there. But I am a bit worried about the game, Professor. Let me tell you, because Richmond are already safely in the 8th with nothing really to play for.
Oh, they're playing for position, Gelding. They might be playing at home if they win. Like if results go against Sydney or Fremantle, how would Richmond like travelling to Sydney or Freo to play their first final? I don't think they would. So they've got plenty to play for, Gelding. And believe you me, if there's now the sacked coaches form line doesn't come in because they haven't sacked the coach. The same coach is still there. Yes. So Essendon haven't got that going for them. And disharmony, Gelding, how could you possibly think about the game and give all your thought process to how you're going to be your best on the ground when all this rubbish is going on behind the scenes? And then to make the big play for Clarkson and not get him.
And then say you'll have a board meeting that on Sunday to decide about the club. You'd certainly be worried about some of the decisions being made, wouldn't you?
Well, if you're a contracted player and you're any good at your craft, Gelding, you'd be looking elsewhere, wouldn't you?
Be interesting to see what they do. and whether any players do put their hands up and, look elsewhere. Apparently, the captain was interested in the Gold Coast Suns, and turned them down. Maybe he regrets that. Their vice captain, Zach Merritt, was looking last year before he signed on, was worried about the direction where the club was going. Interesting to see, Professor.
All right, Gelding, the Professor's parlay currently showing 4-1. So that'll be
very nice.
That'll be a very nice return for punters if we can get that one up. Very
nice, Professor.
All right, Gelding. No Sports Fan Radio tomorrow because you've got other commitments and so is the judge. So we're a bit thin on the ground. So we might have another week off given.
Okay, sorry about that, Professor. Family commitment.
That's right. Yeah, no.
Yes.
Family comes first, Gelding.
Yes.
No, look, Sports Fan Radio, we're back. We're trying to get Grant Thomas for next week. So watch this space.
I'll have to watch it on the podcast, Professor.
Yes, you will, unfortunately, but
yes.
You've got another commitment for 2 weeks.
Another commitment overseas for a couple of weeks.
All right, Gelding, well, you take the next 3 weeks off, and we'll see you again when you're back from sunnier climates.
Sunnier climates, Professor. Hopefully, yes. Catching up from all these COVID trips we've never had.
All right, Gelding. Well, until we next talk, it's good luck
and good punting.